All right. So I wanted to. I've had some personal thoughts, as we all do, and requests. Hopefully, that Guild Wars, the original Guild Wars, now Guild Wars Reforged, will get when it comes to updates in the future, quality of life updates, and that's pretty much it. Quality of life updates that I kind of hope that this game will get. Let's jump in and talk about it. So here I am on my beautiful guild hall. My beautiful guild hall. By the way, again, one of the few games. This is basically your player housing, if you will, of the original game. There are many, many guild halls you can get, and they all look absolutely fantastic. I personally love this particular one here. It's just, I've always loved the Asian theme. So yeah, this is pretty much kind of like right up my alley in terms of what I want in a guild hall. But anyway. So, we're going to be talking about my personal wish list, my personal quality of life changes that they could make for Guild Wars Reforged now that they have a team. And I have no doubt they can work on this. I have no doubt that this is something they can actually do. But one of the first things that I would like, two things actually while I'm thinking about it, is to raise the money cap to whatever you want for your chest, right? So, you know, right now you can only max it out at 1,000 platinum. I would like that just unlocked, right? And maybe unlock it for other characters. Okay, so we remove the caps for that particular thing, right? Now, I'm not against them buying buying stuff like, you know, the different like storage slots and things like that. However, you'll notice here that I have a number of these storage slots just filled up with miniatures. Okay? And I even have a mule, another character, which has stuff on it as well. So this is kind of, these two kind of things sort of lended to itself. We did have, a while ago, them bring in the option that we can wear our costumes, right? So we can actually wear costumes on our characters that you can change here. The problem is, though, is that you can only wear you can only have one costume slot in there at a time. All right. So I would like it personally that if you've already unlocked a costume, this costume slot, when you come on this icon here, it has another option that when you click on it, it opens up the window like this window here with all the costumes that you've already paid for. And it allows you to simply click on the two pieces that you want, and that's it. And then you can add it. That would be perfect. That means that we don't have to store the other ones or anything like that. It goes essentially into a passive wardrobe for the costumes. Just like, and again, all of the stuff I'm telling you is stuff that is part of Guild Wars 2. Right? So now they can learn from Guild Wars 2 and then retrofit it into Guild Wars 1, hopefully. Because, you know, if you want to run around with a pet, right? So I always run around with a black moa chick, you know, just because, you know, it took a little bit to get. Right? I don't want to have to run around with these. Right? I want to have the option in a revised inventory pane that there is something else like added, maybe a pet tab or something like that. That when you click on it, all the pets that you have, all of these in my storage and on my person are all added to a pet panel, right? Now, I know we have the menagerie for the rangers, and that's really cool as well. This is also something I would like to see for the rangers, because if you check it out over here, the Zaishen menagerie, right? This part here, this is where you can go and a ranger, or anyone actually, as long as you have a ranger equipped, that you can actually, you know, go and get a new pet. And that's fine, right? Maybe you could leave it at that, I don't know. But maybe for rangers, you could also have a tab where, you know, they have it so that they can select, you know, up to, say, 5 pets that they can quick launch from, rather than having to go all the way there and back. Now, I know you can teleport around and that's fast, okay? But again, this is all about quality of life. We're talking about, you know, people, especially that are coming into the game brand new, and their bags are filling up with shit. Their bags are filling up with, like, you know, all sorts of stuff, fireworks and all sorts of things like that, where, you know, they could just simply sit there and go, okay, look, this could be in a you know, a passive wardrobe or passive sort of like inventory that we can access on the fly through our main inventory that we never have to worry about. I think that'd be pretty cool, right? This also would apply to gear, right? Because right now, okay, in my storage, okay, I personally, like, I don't carry a lot of gear, right? I'm pretty happy with what I've got, but you can see some of the gear. I've got some Lux and stuff here and some more tattooed gear, the dragon tattoo type stuff, as well as some vestments and whatnot over here. This sort of stuff, again, is taking up space, right? Now, something I'd love to see is that they could come up with some sort of, you know, thing like they have in Guild Wars 2, where you can spend, right? If you want to do it this way, that's fine. We obviously don't have transmutation charges in the game, but we do have this currency here with copper, silver, and gold Zaishen coins. Yeah? So what I would love to see, personally, right? I would love to see is that we have the option that all of the gear that you've already unlocked, meaning that you've already crafted it, goes into a bank, like, or a wardrobe, like in Guild Wars 2, right? And then if we click on one of our pieces of gear here, or we have a button up here that says access wardrobe, right? It opens up a wardrobe panel with our character here, but then when we click on each of the 5 pieces, it allows us to then replace it at a cost. Okay, sure, at a cost. Most games do that. If you want to be better than most games, don't add a cost, right? And then easy peasy. And then that way we can swap our gear all the time. Now you still gotta add stuff to your gear, right? You still gotta deck out your gear with all the particulars, you know, that you want for it, right? You know, in terms of, like, you want more energy, you want have more fighting power, whichever your character, whatever you do for your profession, right? It's up to you, right? This is what I'm saying. But at the very least, this would free up bag space like you wouldn't believe. Adding to that, adding a currency button. So that way all of the currencies that we have sitting here are also locked away. Look at all these different types of currencies that you can accrue. Instead of having this physically located, taking up space, which you could be using for something else, right? For something else in the game. Do that, right? Make it so that we can do that. That would be far, far better, all right? And of course, going back to the gear stuff, obviously it's not just, how would you do this? Like, would you do it just as a cosmetic thing, right? You know, so you want to, or that might be too difficult. So I think it might be easier that they just make it so that, yeah, you can swap the pieces of gear anytime you like. However, like in a town, not out in combat, but unless you want to lift that restriction, that'd be interesting. But you've still got to deck it out with however you want to, like, design your gear, which then becomes a money sink and stuff as well for the game, and that's fine, I guess, right? But definitely you need some sort of, like, pet collections, like for your miniatures, so all of this stuff here doesn't take up space, right? Because when you think about it, the Hall of Monuments is kind of like that. If we jump over to the Hall of Monuments, let me see if I can show you this, because this is, I think the Hall of Monuments was kind of like the precursor to essentially getting offline type access, or not offline, but like sort of like non physically available stuff for your character, right? So if we go to the Eye of the North and we'll jump into the Hall of Monuments, the Hall of Monuments allows you to attach stuff to, like, your shrines, if you will, of worship, right? And that's, like, really cool. Look at all those awesome folk. So you can do it with gear. I can't remember if you can do it with all gear, but you can certainly do it with gear, some of the gear, right? you can certainly do it with your miniatures. And of course, obviously, we have different weapons here as well that you can do it with as well, right? If we come over here, I literally have ignored the resilience one, even after all this time. But here's all your miniatures, right? And this is only the ones that are on show. This is not all the ones that I've added to the Hall of Monuments, dedicated to the Hall of Monuments, right? So obviously they have a system where they can store it in this way, because you can come over here, right, and you can examine it, and then you can cycle them, right? So they're obviously stored. Even if you got rid of the pet, if I threw it out of my bags and got rid of it, they're still here, right? So that's why I'm saying that, like, this system is already in place, right? The system is already in place. And that's why I wonder about, can they make something like this? And can they also do it? Well, where's my red fella gone? Where's he gone? Arrange display. You can set it, but you can even set it like limited release pets. You can have just the limited release ones showcasing there as well, which is pretty cool. Celestial mini pets, which I have none of. Like at all. That's not good. We'll just go back to this, so that way I at least look like I've got something. Anyway, so, and then of course you've obviously got your fellowship, which is all your heroes that you've unlocked too. And obviously these are the actual achievements that you've got too, which is pretty cool. All right. And then of course the armor and the weapons over here. So over here, right, this is where you can actually attach armor to your character. To your account to show visually, right? So there's the primeval one. Okay, but I don't have the primeval armor anymore. I don't have it. I don't have the pieces. I don't know what happened, but I don't have the pieces. But yet it's on display. Okay. Now, sure, maybe you go, well, it's just a snapshot. And that's true, possibly. But I think the Hall of Monuments is a clear indicator that you are able to store stuff in an out of sight, out of mind way. And then when you come in here, you're actually accessing it on the fly. You can actually see this stuff on the fly. Same with the weapons. Right? Same with the weapons. I think that this should be, just like the gear pieces, something that you can access in a particular wardrobe type fashion where you can swap out your gear. So if I don't want to run around with this stuff anymore, right, the Decade Star Astral Pillar, I can then go, oh, okay, well, I'll just click on here, I'll click this thing here, it opens up another window here, like say, for example, this thing, and then I can go, oh yeah, click and just drag and replace. So I don't lose anything, and I don't need to store anything in my bags. Same with the gear, same with the costumes, same with the mini pets. All of it. Anything that can be stored, currency, ranger pets could have a limited amount they can quick access to. All of it. Right? All of that sort of stuff should be made available like very easily. Now, this is where it gets a little controversial in case it hasn't already. Right? Now, I personally have unlocked all heroes, including mercenaries. Now, I think mercenaries are account wide, right? But I have all the heroes unlocked on my character, okay, which is good, right? Now, if I just want to, there's a new logout screen too, which is really nice. Right, let's log back in again. I should have just gone and changed character, right? So if I go, this is a character that I know I haven't really used a super bunch, right? Load up my ranger. Now, if I go into here, I don't have all the heroes and or, like I got mercenaries, but I don't have all the heroes unlocked, right? So this is my proposal, right? This is where it gets into controversial territory, right? This is where it gets controversial. If I've unlocked, and they do this in Guild Wars too, with their mastery systems and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you've already unlocked a hero on one character, every character should have them available. All right? This is precisely one of the reasons why I don't play a lot of my other toons, is because you have to literally play the entire game again to access everything. Now, I don't care if you play through the story, just like in Guild Wars 2, each character you play through the story separately, but you're not restricted. You can still like join parties, teleport to friends to go different places. So there's not a lot of restrictions, and that's kind of borrowed from say the first game where you get runs to different towns. But for heroes, 100%, all of these, if you've unlocked them, they should be unlocked for every character. Make it so that especially returning people that have already done the work, you don't want to do the work another 9 times. What was it, 10 professions? You don't want to do it another 9 times. I'm sorry, it's not a, oh, I'm so much more skillful than you. It is a massive time sink. It's a 20-year-old game. It's not something that we need anymore. Right? What it does mean too is that, you know, you can load up, like I have like every profession, including a character still stuck in pre, right? So you can load up every profession that you have, and you go, okay, I know I've got all my heroes available. They're right there. Because the mercenaries, which you pay for, right, which is basically creating a custom extra profession hero, are available everywhere. You just got to go access it in the, where is it? It's the Great Temple of Balthazar, right? And that's where you access it to then, you know, add them to your team, all right? But they gave us that option so that way we didn't become reliant on heroes if we hadn't unlocked them, to make it easier for content. But the game is so old now, right? It doesn't matter anymore. Like, it doesn't, like, having that system in place, we don't need it, right? It's old. Okay, we don't need to have those sorts of restrictions anymore, right? It doesn't stop people from, this is where people get a little gatekeeping. I'm not against gatekeeping when it matters, right? But these are all my mercenaries that I've created, right? So that way I can cover myself with other characters, but that you're expecting people to spend money for that, right? This is a 20-year-old game. If people don't want to spend money on mercenaries, you know, and to me, mercenaries was kind of 2 things. It allows you to get around the fact that you may not have heroes for the team that you might need a hero for, and also if you want to run, like I run like almost a full necro ritualist team because it's batshit crazy, right? All those spirits and minions, you're just a tank, right? And I love that, especially for hard mode content. For most of it, it's really, really good. But you don't need that anymore. You don't need it anymore, right? So that's one restriction I would lift. If you've unlocked the hero, they're unlocked everywhere. It still gives people incentive to unlock them, but at the very least, it gives people that option. Now, they may bring out a DLC pack, like they've done with other stuff, like skill packs and stuff, where you pay the money and it unlocks all the skills. They may do that for the heroes. I don't know. But here's the other one. Here's the 2, maybe 2, right? If you've unlocked the skills, right, for your character, they should be made available for every character. Every character should have access to those skills, because you can dual profession, right? I'm running right now Monk Assassin, but I can change to any other secondary or any other profession as a secondary. You lose the primary attribute on secondary, but that's fine, right? Because then if I swap over to my ranger, if I want to run, say, like ranger warrior, I can, right? But if I've unlocked, if I've unlocked every single skill in the game, right? And another character's missing some on their secondary profession, they should just access them immediately. Unless they've already done that, and I just completely missed it. But no, they need to make that completely universal. Completely universal. Right? Because this shit right here, when you get down to the races that come in with either North, this stuff takes time. Look at the amount of abilities for the 5 races that you have to get from. How is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 4. Sorry, the 4, my bad. Right? So, these 4 races, there's a ton of abilities. And then you got to level up those abilities. Right? You got to max out the titles. Right? So that way you get more damage or more effects from those abilities. Again, this is where this ties into this. If you've unlocked all of this stuff on one character, it should be made available everywhere. It's an old game. We don't need to have it so that some stuff that isn't account-wide is still stayed that way because, people's feelings are going to get hurt about, gatekeeping shit. Some of this stuff is not necessary, right, to redo all over again. Right? The Hall of Monuments, in theory, right, some of it should stay the same for every character. Like, so for example, like all the miniatures, right? No matter what character you go in with, all the miniatures are there. Same with the achievements, all the trophies and stuff that you get for, conquering Cantha and Tyria and all that sort of shit. All of that should still be there because you've already done it. Again, this is an old game. Obviously, displaying of weapons, displaying of your armor. The heroes should also be the same too, right? The other two, you can make it so that, yes, you as your character, yes, you obviously set them up with your armor, right? For your character, that's perfectly reasonable. Same with the weapons. But everything else should pretty much be the fucking same. Like, I'm not going to lie, right? Because, again, it's an old game. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to grind up this shit on every single character. Especially, like, I was explaining some of this to a mate of mine on Discord. And he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. Which was some of the inspiration for me wanting to make this video. Because it's like, well, that's what's going to happen to a new player. They're going to be like, oh, man, is this stuff going to be available to me and my other characters, like in WoW or Guild Wars 2 and stuff? I'm like, nah, man, you got to grind all this shit up again. You got to grind it all up again. No. You can't do that. Not in this day and age. Not with the amount of choice that we have for games available. It doesn't take away what we've already achieved. But to be fair, it's one of the reasons why I don't run around as my other characters a lot. Right? Because of that. Because I know, oh, I don't have access to the heroes that I've already got. I don't have access to, all the skills or whatever that I've already got. Right? That's what bugs the absolute piss out of me. Alright? Because of that. So, when you look at Guild Wars 2 as a blueprint of quality of life stuff that they could change, absolutely, these things being added into the game would change everything in terms of accessibility, freeing up things like your bag space, right? It's not to say you can't carry stuff with you, right? Maybe the offset is you can carry the stuff in your bags, but if you put it into the vault or whatever they decide to call it, it costs a fee, a small fee to swap them in and out. Okay, sure. Okay. All right. Small though, small. Not gigantic. Don't make it ridiculous. It's an old game again, right? But a lot of the stuff, as I've been pointing out, is all quality of life stuff that we already have available in its its follow-up game, Guild Wars 2. And all you're doing is taking that and applying it to Reforged, so it's a lot easier and a lot more accessible. And to be perfectly honest, a lot more fun, you know, so that way we can load up any character and know that, oh yeah, I've already got my heroes. That's cool, man. Let's go, right? I think that would be great. Everything that I've discussed here is all stuff that we're already seeing in other MMOs, particularly the very same sequel in the very same company in the very same universe. That would be perfect, right? Now, you will get people gatekeep. I don't agree with that particular thing because this stuff doesn't take away what you've done, right? But making everything account-wide, making everything so that way, like if you, say for example, you know, you unlock a weapon, right? Like you get a weapon that drops, you're like, oh man, I really want to keep this stuff. You can add it to the vault. You can add it to the vault, right? And it's never ending. So you can keep everything that you want to keep in there forever. All your gear, all your weapons, costumes, miniatures, right? Make it your skills count wide. Make it your Hall of Monument stuff, most of it account wide. The titles account wide. So that way, no matter what character you're playing as, you are always pushing things forward. If you look at the mastery system in Guild Wars 2, it's the best example I can show you. The mounts are account wide in Guild Wars 2. Masteries are account wide in Guild Wars 2. A lot of the achievements are account wide in Guild Wars 2. The miniatures are account wide in Guild Wars 2. And obviously, withstanding different characters, obviously, because obviously, you know, certain, like, monk gear cannot be worn by a ranger. You know, you've already unlocked it and it will always stay there, but you don't have to have it in your bags. But if you have it in your bags, at least you don't have to pay the fee every time you want to swap it out. That can be the small bitter pill, you know, if you want to have that type of system, like they have with the transmutation in Guild Wars 2. But this is what I would do. And if they got a team now, right, it's not like they need to come up with new content. It's not like they need to come up with new quests or anything like that. You know, just some bug fixes and whatnot. But quality of life stuff moving forward, this would be absolutely phenomenal. And I really think, wholeheartedly, that these changes would not only make it a lot easier for a lot of us to empty our bags out and make it so that we have stuff that's readily available for us, you know, but also new people coming in. So then you can tell them, don't worry about it. Once you unlocked it, it's unlocked. Oh, but what if I change characters? Don't worry about it. You've got it. It's already unlocked. Don't sweat it. It's already there, right? But right now, that's a gigantic barrier for people that might want to run around as multiple characters with their professions and realizing, oh shit, what, I got to get all the skills again on this other character, but I've already got them over here. I've already unlocked it on the secondary profession, right? Why can't I just go get the elite ones instead? Leave, you know, that's the only ones you got to get, right? So that's what, and of course, obviously, if you unlock the elite, you know, anyway, you know what I'm saying, right? That's what they should do. Now, just to finalize, right? One of the things I was very disappointed that one of the questions was not asked in the initial sort of coverage of the game was the fact that we have a massive botting problem when it comes to PvP. Right? I didn't see a single mention of removing bots. I don't know why, but it wasn't a thing. Okay? I don't know why it wasn't mentioned, but yeah. Okay, it's great this is really good. It's really good to see this populated again. Hopefully these are all real people. Right? But this is something that, like, you know, this is something. Oh, by the way, that's the other thing I'd remove too. I would remove the cat, like, so if you want to invite someone, you got to spend money to invite them into your guild. Can we do away with that, please? Come on. 100 gold, really? Really? There is no other game that I can think of that charges you to invite somebody to your guild. Right? Let's just do away with that shit. Get rid of the bots. Take off the cap so you can add anyone at any time into your guilds. and or alliances, right? Please. Okay? It is not necessary anymore. We don't need it. It's not necessary anymore. Now, if you guys can think of any other quality of life improvements that you'd like to see added to the game, please let me know. I think I've covered a lot of the big ones, you know, that I think would be great. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you next time. See you.